Good morning. It is Wednesday morning, September 8th. Welcome everyone to today's live stream. Janisa, first name I see this morning, you get the prize. Good morning everyone. See, we have 6 people in the live stream. Only one name so far, 7. We'll see what other names pop in. There we have, let's see, Dana Kreshock, Deanne Fine. There's my mom, good morning. Welcome everybody this morning. Sally Crocker, good morning. Happy day to you. Michael Johnson, Mike and Kim, good morning to you. Jan Akins, good morning. Karen Lowe, welcome with your cup of coffee. I've already had my 2 cups this morning. It's a wonderful, glorious, rich morning ritual to have that cup of coffee. Though not everybody likes coffee. My brother-in-law used to call it devil juice. He did not like coffee. Jeremy and Wendy, good morning to you. So we are in Proverbs chapter 8 today. Jonathan Cassis, good morning. Welcome. Proverbs chapter 8. One of the things we're going to find out about the book of Proverbs is that there are many things that are repeated over and over and over. And I think there's value in the most important things being repeated. Debbie King, good morning. I can't think of anything today in today's passage, but we're going to run into something tomorrow in Proverbs 9 that we've heard already in Proverbs 1. But the themes themselves repeat. There's a nature about that is wise in and of itself, and I'll explain as we read through these passages. So, chapter 8 is like chapter 7 in the sense that Solomon is writing in a way that is thematic. It's not a story format like chapter 7, but it's, the entire chapter carries this theme of the accessibility of wisdom. That wisdom is there if you want it. It's not denied any human being. Wisdom is characterized as calling out in the streets. And all we have to do is look for it. And God guarantees over and over and over that we will find it if we're looking for it. Makes me think of Jesus' words when he says, "Seek ye first." No. Everyone who seeks will find. Everyone who knocks, the door will be open. And everyone who asks, it will be given him. God is making himself accessible to anyone who seeks him. He'll not hide his face from anyone who's genuinely looking for him. That's the way it is with wisdom, because the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. He wants us to succeed. He wants us to experience all the good things of life that he has created for us. And so keep all this in mind as we're going to read. There's 36 verses in chapter 8, so we're not going to read all of them. We're just going to read a few of them to kind of pick up this theme. Chapter 8, verse 1 says, "Does not wisdom call? Does not understanding raise her voice? On the heights beside the way, at the crossroads she takes her stand, beside the gates in front of the town." These are all points where many people are going to walk by. The most people are going to have access, right? Wisdom sets herself up and she calls out. Beside the gates, in front of the town, at the entrance of the portals, she cries aloud, "To you, O men, I call. And my cry is to the children of man." So everybody, all of mankind, I'm calling out, wisdom would say. "O simple ones, learn prudence. O fools, learn sense. Hear, for I will speak noble things. I love that word noble in the sense because it conjures up in my mind access to things that may feel out of reach in other ways of life. What do I mean by that? So sometimes there is inequity in life that that some good things in the world really only come to people born into privilege, or having born into a privileged position in the world. Wisdom's not that way. She is freely dispensing nobility, noble things to anyone, to the simple, to anyone who would listen. I love that. For my mouth will utter truth. Wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are righteous. There's nothing twisted or crooked in them. They're all straight to him that understands, So it's always going to be, you can always count on it. It's always going to be good. It's never going to go wrong for you. Wisdom, that is, not life. And take my instruction instead of silver. Acknowledge rather than choice gold. And all that you may desire cannot compare with her. It's so valuable. Wisdom. And maybe I'll just read a couple more, then I'll comment generally. Verse 18, riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, even fine gold. There's a repetition of the value of wisdom that is accessible to all. I, wisdom, walk in the way of the righteous, the paths of justice. By me kings reign, rulers decree what is just. So justice and influence are best purchased by wisdom. So where's the wisdom source? So if it's so valuable, where does it come from? And he'll say this in the middle of the psalm. The Lord possessed me, in other words, Yahweh, God, possessed me, wisdom, at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of old. Ages ago, I was set up at the first, before the beginning of the earth. So in other words, God created wisdom prior to creating all things. It has its source in God. It has its beginning in God, and it happened before God created all things. So the wisdom of God is immeasurable. The complexity of our solar system, all of creation, all down to the very cells of what makes up all living things, and how it all interworks, seasons, the sun, the moon, the stars, all of that, we think of its complexity, and its you can count on it. We can set our watch by the sun and the moon, rising in the east, setting in the west, and the cycles and the years. And we set our calendar by these things that God has established. And if he did not possess wisdom in establishing these things, I think that all of creation would just descend into chaos, right? We wouldn't even be around. It wouldn't have lasted this long, right? So we see all the complexities of the world were created by God, who started with wisdom. So why is this so vital to us? There's two things I just want to walk away with about the accessibility of wisdom. It's free to everyone. Everyone can access it, whether you're rich or poor. Everyone can seek wisdom, and God will reveal it to us. And that when we think about the world and its creation, its complexity, and all, how the world works, God says wisdom is where I started in creating all of that. And God is the source of wisdom, so he gives us, so in other words, we have a leg up just as Christians. Those who believe in Yahweh, God has given us his word, and very specifically the book of Proverbs, but all of his word to describe how the world works. If you're wondering about how a watch works, you go to a watchmaker. You go to the designer. Why did you make it this way? Tell me about the intricacies of how it works, how it's going to continue to work. You're going to go to the source, the person who made all things, who sustains all things, who causes the sun to rise in the east and set in the west, the one who holds the world in his hands. Out of wisdom he made it, and out of wisdom he continues to sustain it and will bring about all things to a just conclusion in the end. If we wonder about life, we have this privilege as Christians to access the very one who created and sustains all of it. And he freely dispenses wisdom. He says, please come. It's accessible to all, just like the righteousness of Christ, just like the gospel, the good news. It's accessible to anyone. And so we go to its source. If we really want to be wise, you go to the source. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That's the first thing, that all of creation rests on the wisdom of God. Wisdom was prior to creation. And secondly, the observation I would make about wisdom, and this is not inherent in Proverbs 8, it's just an observation that wisdom can be, like many things in life, can be tracked over decades of time. So why would I follow the path of wisdom versus the path of foolishness? Because there are times when wisdom, following a path of wisdom doesn't feel good. Because people who live wise lives also experience pain and inequity and tragedy, and things aren't fair, and things don't go well 100% of the time for those who are walking carefully the wise life. It's just that the person who walks the wise life, it goes so much better for them over the long haul, over many years of consistent wise choices. When you look at your whole life, or at least 10 years of time or 20 years of time, you're going to see that person, it's going to go, in general, far greater for them than the one who is making foolish choices, who is cutting corners, who's acting lazy, who is lying or cheating to try to get ahead, or is undermining someone else's success to try to draw attention to themselves. That might win them some progress in the short term, might get them that job promotion in the short term, or that quick fix to their problem in the short term. But if you look at their life over the span of 10 years or 20 years or their lifetime, there's going to be a distinct difference. Those who follow the path of the fool, it will not go for them well in general. And so when you measure the value of wisdom that's greater than silver, greater than gold, you have to measure it over long periods of time. And we have to, day in, day out, make choices to follow the path of wisdom, of righteousness, speaking truth, being humble, learning, growing. Because over time, wisdom is very incremental. You don't just make one wise decision and everything for the rest of your life goes well for you. You have to make one or maybe the same wise decision over and over and over and over all of your life. And incrementally, your life is just going to go generally better. You'll still have pain, you'll still have loss, you'll still have sorrow. There will be inequity at times, but in general, everything's going to go much better for you than the one who is acting foolishly. And we see this in life. And so this is why God says the characteristic of perseverance is so important. We must persevere in good things. And God allows difficulty in life to help us develop that perseverance. So if real emotional maturity, we're doing this class at 9 a.m. on being emotionally healthy. And I've said this, and I'll repeat this over and over. Our growth in emotional maturity, our emotional health, should not be measured in a year's time. It should be, decades, 10-year increments are far greater measurements of our growth. And that's the same way with wisdom. In the end, we're going to be 10 years older, whether we like it or not, right? Barring tragedy. Might as well, at the end of that 10 years, have benefited from all of the choices of wisdom to have that incremental growth versus it's just too hard to make these consistent wise choices. I'm going to take a shortcut, and we can set ourselves back tremendously. And that's the other side of the coin. We're going to talk about this more tomorrow. Chapter 9 really highlights this, but I'll just give you a foreshadowing that if wisdom takes all of our lives to really see the great benefit of it, one foolish act can have a far greater consequence to detriment to our success in the world. And so we have to persevere. We have to stay the course. The writer of Hebrews says you have to learn endurance. We have to keep our eyes fixed on the finish line. That helps us to make those decisions day in, day out that ultimately is going to benefit us, to walk in righteousness, we have such an advantage as believers that we have placed our faith in the one true God who is revealing how the world works and how to succeed in the world by following his commands. We are generally going to just do better in life. And in our culture, in America, you can have people who don't follow God that do very well in life, but I would argue this. They are generally following principles that the Bible, that God himself has created for those who to do well, to tell the truth, to work hard, to persevere, to endure, to make good choices in and out. They're borrowing from the goodness of God that he has created for someone to live skillfully and live successfully, and they're just taking God out of the equation. God's goodness, this is what Jesus said, God sends rain on the unrighteous just like he does the righteous. God loves all of mankind, whether mankind loves him back. This reveals the kindness and mercy of God. And this is why we can love people, even our enemies, and pray for those who persecute us, because we're just acting on the very character of God. So I think we have an advantage through our faith in the Lord, because God dispenses wisdom freely and it's accessible to all. And to the extent that someone who doesn't believe in God can live a skillful life, it's really dependent on them borrowing from the very truths that God himself has created in how the world works for anyone to have success. We have a leg up, because once this life ends, we have eternity to bask in God's glory and to receive the just reward of those who have placed their faith in him and not rejected him because of our pride. So wisdom is accessible. That's today's lesson. But we must persevere in it, walk in it, day out, make those choices, make hard choices to do the right thing, so that over the course of time, it will be to us more valuable than gold or silver. Lord bless you today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning with Proverbs chapter 9. God bless you.